Today we have the pleasure of having Miss Irena JOVEVA as our distinguished guest. She's here to deliver a brief speech about her role as an MEP and to share some words of wisdom and to answer some of your questions in the later Q&A. So the floor is yours, Miss Irena, and thank you very much. Hvala puno. You can start whenever you're ready.
Okay, thank you very much. Hello, everyone. Good morning. I hope you're all okay. So firstly, of course, I would like to thank you for having me at this sitting of the European Youth Parliament, as far as I understood that this is. I'm really delighted every time to talk to younger generations, and I was, of course, very glad to have received the invitation for joining you today. So, my name is Irena JOVEVA, and as you probably know now already, I'm a member of the European Parliament. This is my first mandate, and as a young person myself, I am 31 years old, and as a former journalist, I was a journalist for 8 years before I switched to politics. As that, I'm mainly working on the topics of culture, education, youth, environment, and the Western Balkans. But my main focus at this moment is actually fake news, also regarding the COVID-19 situation. So the European Parliament consists, of course, of different political groups, and I am a part of the Renew Europe group, which is, you probably know, but still a liberal group and is the third biggest group in the European Parliament. And I actually belong to the same group as my colleague Jose Ramon. That was, I don't know if he was speaking to you or with another group, but as far as I know, we should be like together on this event. I don't know if that happened. I am not actually a fan of big speeches or long speeches because I rather listen to what people have to say. So I would rather spend the time listening to you and answering, of course, to your questions, but just briefly. So just a few minutes to tell you about the first year of my mandate. As for the most of us, of course, it has been an interesting the last 6 months. So, you know, as the situation of the pandemic happened, it has affected the whole world, which, you know, had to adapt to the new circumstances. If we already adapted or not is, of course, another question. But, you know, we were no exceptions in Brussels. So the European Parliament as such, and the European Union actually as such. So we had to find new ways to function and, you know, to learn to work in special circumstances. It was quite challenging, I have to say, especially in March and April, because, you know, we talk about digitalization all the time, and I really thought, because I'm a millennium child, and I really thought that I know everything about technology, and then I learned that that's not true. So it's been quite a challenge, but I think now we managed to work remotely normally, if you can say normally in this circumstances. So for me, you know, the main reason when I was thinking about joining politics or not, the main reason for joining was that I want to make changes. I know that it's typical to say for a politician, but it's true. So, you know, I really believe that the burden of making changes and taking things into our hands falls to us, to the younger generations, so also to you guys. And that's why, you know, I have tried and I'm still trying to make some changes, even though the difficulty of the current situation is slowing us all down. The processes actually in the European Union are slow either way, even in the normal circumstances, because it's very complicated to reach agreements and everything. But, you know, now it's even tougher on one hand, but on the other hand, it's easier to agree on some things. So, you know, pluses and minuses. So today's topic, as far as I know, is the EU and overcoming adversity on or problems together. Am I right? I hope I'm right. Okay. You know, I think that this pandemic has shown us how much stronger we are, or we can be, together, and you know how our solidarity strengthens us. Admittedly, it was a lot easier, as I said, to reach agreements on numerous things, on numerous reports and stuff. But I'm sure you will all agree with me that it's a fact that no country could have managed to handle this crisis alone. Not a single one, you know. I mean, on the beginning, it was really a chaos, and I understand that every country, you know, wanted to protect its citizens first, but now I think that we all are aware that it's not possible to work alone in this. Not everyone actually, but most of us, if I can say so. So in the meantime, in these last few months, we have worked really very hard actually to get new funds for the economic recovery and to save the cultural and creative sector. That was actually my main focus. As I said, culture is one of my priorities, and we are actually still working really hard to save the sector and to get more funds for the sector. And also we work to support our neighborhood countries and to provide medical aid, of course, and medical equipment. So the priorities have changed. Budgets had to be recalculated. New legislation was drawn up, and extraordinary plenary sessions took place remotely. So that's, as I said, was a challenge in order, you know, to maintain the full working force of the European Parliament. The Parliament had to come up with a system of remote voting, allowing, you know, the legislative train to keep on going. So we still have the remote voting, so we don't have to be physically present in the plenary. Actually, I wasn't in Brussels from March, so I'm in Slovenia for 6 months now. So we work normally as far as the voting is concerned, but as far as the debating is concerned, it's not normal because you know, we cannot be a part of the debates because we're not physically present there. So that's a thing that hopefully will be, I don't know, arranged in these next few months if we still have to work like this, and probably we will for quite a time. We have adapted more or less and learned, you know, to cope with the situation, as probably, you know, every one of us had to, in jobs or in schools or whatever, wherever you are. Just the last thing, because this is also my special focus, I already mentioned fake news, and during the first wave of COVID, we were really facing a lot, even more disinformation than usual. For example, you know, probably you all know about the Donald Trump statements about bleach and how to cure COVID, and I don't even want to talk about the things that he has said. So disinformation, fake news, you know, propaganda and conspiracies, and it has all proved to be very, very dangerous. The disinformation created even more chaos, and people became even more panicked and irrational, you know, in their behavior. So to avoid such things and to provide the citizens the confirmed information, the European Parliament formed a subcommittee on disinformation. It started working, or it will start these days. So it will improve the information received and result in, you know, more informed and educated citizens, while hopefully minimizing the chaos and, you know, levels of panic throughout this crisis. So I will stop here. I really hope that I managed to give you a small overview and, you know, maybe inspired you for some questions. I intentionally didn't speak about everything because I know that you we'll have a lot of interesting questions. So that's all from me now, and I would really like to hear from you. Only maybe comments or ideas as you want, or questions, whatever. So
thank you very much. It's been a delight listening to you. And now is the time for the questions. And can I please ask every one of you to raise a hand when you have a question to avoid any confusion. And we can start.
Okay, so Fiona from Empel has a lifted hand. Fiona, you have the mic.
Hello. Thank you. So I have a question about what exactly the subcommittee, I didn't really understand what exactly the subcommittee on disinformation is planning on doing against all the fake news.
Okay, thank you for the question. You know, the European Union had or has a problem with this because the disinformation thing is not a new thing, but we, or they, because I wasn't a part of this before, they never did anything, you know, with the migration crisis and stuff. So we didn't have any special committees regarding this when we should have been having them, you know, before. But now this crisis showed, fortunately, to the leaders that it's necessary to have a special committee. You know, when we have normal committees, regular committees, and then when we start with the special committees, it means that it's really a serious problem. Mostly is a problem going on, or a big report, or something like that. So this is like a sign that this is really a big issue, and the subcommittee will try to, you know, to work with this thing like in a legislative way, not only, you know, when we are saying, yeah, this information is bad, we have to do something, but the subcommittee is really going to try and do something. Now, I don't have the details because they didn't start the actual work yet, but maybe the work that has already been done in the past few months is that there's a web page also on the Commission, on the Commission webpage, a special web page that, you know, that faces the disinformation and tells what's true and what's false, cooperating with the WHO. So I think that now they are really trying, we are really trying to do something and not only to speak. So the special committee is going to be focusing on, you know, what can be done like in reality and how to help the platforms, actually, you know, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, there are the most there's the mostly burdened with the disinformation and fake news propaganda. So I really do hope that they will also cooperate with the parliament or with the subcommittee, but I'm not the part of the special subcommittee, so that's why I cannot give you the details. I will not be a part of it because it's a smaller group. So I hope I answered.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so thank you very much. Just for clarity, I would like to tell everybody that for lifting your hand, you have to click participants, more, and lift hand somewhere. Geez, sorry. So I don't see any lifted hands. Okay, from Saviel, president of the session. You have the mic, Saviel.
Thank you very much, and also thank you very much for being here this morning with us. I have a question surrounding basically the other issues that Europe was facing, you know, before the pandemic. For example, you told you were interested, or you were very involved in the process of the Western Balkans, and you know, that's actually one of our topics at this session as well. How do you think the main issues before the pandemic have been influenced by the pandemic? Has the order of business been very drowned by these new issues coming up, and how is the European Parliament trying to, like, get back to the previous issues that are still pending and not being anything as decided upon?
Thank you for the question. I didn't know that the topic, one of the topic is Western Balkans. I'm really glad to hear that. Actually, the answer is that I will be honest. I don't know how to lie, by the way, even though I'm in politics or, you know, to manipulate. So I will be honest. It's really, everything stopped actually in March. So first of all, the first few weeks, we didn't actually know how to work, and we had no clue what will happen, and the reports were waiting, and of course the other topics were waiting, and they waited until I think it was June. So March, April, May, June, all of our plenary sessions or extraordinary plenary sessions had nothing to do with the other topics, only COVID-19. It's understandable, of course, because it was really, you know, a big issue. So we had to help the member states. So it's understandable. But as far as the Western Balkans is concerned, there was also a lot of help this time. You know, because of regarding the pandemic. So the European Union or the European Parliament as such, I think that helped a lot, you know, not only with funds, but also with just speaking about them, because before the previous mandate, you know, the Western Balkans was not a priority. And Jean-Claude Juncker, previous president of the Commission, said that on the beginning of his mandate, so nobody expected anything in the next 5 years. But now the new president of the Commission, Ursula von der Leyen, said also at the beginning, before the pandemic, that Western Balkans will be a priority this time, and it really was. I mean, nevertheless, the red light given to North Macedonia and Albania in October, so a year ago. But later on, everything, I mean, not everything, but you know, things started to evolve, and Western Balkans is mentioned a lot of times, and it's talked about also regarding the pandemic, but not only that, also the other things. So now we are slowly moving to the other topics. In June we started a little bit, maybe in July a little bit, but you know, after the recess. So now things are going back to normal, you know, as far as the agendas are concerned. So now you don't have only, you know, COVID-19 on the agenda. You have the other stuff, and the reports, as I said, were on the waiting list and stopped. But now the things are moving, because probably until the end of the year we will going to work like this. So I don't even know if we will go to Strasbourg. So I think that I will stay at home. Not only me, most of us will stay at home and, you know, work remotely, but at least the agenda is changing back to normal. So that's good.
Thank you very much for that answer, Ms. Joveva. I think the next person in line is Vajif from Azerbaijan. Vajif, you have the mic.
Good morning, everybody. Thanks, Ms. Joveva, for such a great speech. I have a question regarding the culture side of your job. How are you going to ensure that museums, theaters, and operas, for example, will return to their normal work regime? I mean, I guess they have suffered a lot during the pandemic. So how are you going to fund them? Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for the question. I'm really happy every time I hear something about culture, because I think that culture is underestimated. It was underestimated before, but it's still underestimated now. And I really agree with you that this sector has been hit probably in the hardest way, and you know, it's going to be the last to stand back up. So we are actually talking or debating these days. This week, it's Friday? Yeah, okay. I'm a little bit lost in the day. So on Monday and Tuesday, we had debates about in the Committee for Culture and Education. We had debate about the MFF. So that's multi-annual financial framework that we are that we have to agree on the funds, hopefully as soon as possible. But we talked about the funds for the culture and creative sector, because there was a promise before the pandemic that the funds are going to double, or at least that they will get more funds than usual, because it's the amount is small. But they didn't double it, the Commission and the Council, they didn't double it. They actually gave even smaller funds for the cultural and creative sector. So we as a parliament, what we can do is to protest against that decision, and we did protest, and we had actually a debate or a Q&A session with German presenters from Germany, because they are they are in the presidency at the moment until the end of the year, so they are in charge in the name of the council at the moment. So they promised, but I don't believe in promises anymore, especially in politics. So, but okay, they promised that they will get or give more funds for the culture and creative sector. So what we can do, I mean, I cannot go and give money or open the theaters and cinemas and everything, but I can call upon and I can protest, and we are really doing that. We have a special also working group for the culture and creative sector, and we are closely cooperating with the organizations in the field of culture and creative field. So we are really doing, I mean, unfortunately not everyone, but it's quite a big group of the MEPs that are worried about the situation in culture and creative sector. So I think that we are really doing everything that we can, but I hope that this time it will not happen like usual, when the culture is usually the last thing on the list. So, I hope that we will be able to change that, but at the end of the day, it's also depending on the member states. So, Germany gave 1 billion euros for the sector, and for example, Slovenia, my country, reduced even more the funds. So it's unacceptable to me, but I'm not in the government, so I cannot do anything more than just, as I said, protest and give ideas, and not supporting the MFF if there will be smaller amount for funds for the culture and creative sector.
Thank you very much. Now, next in line is Cristiana from Envy. Cristiana, you have the floor.
First, thank you so much for the presentation. And the question I want to ask that, is the European Union absolutely prepared and equipped to contain the spread of the expected second wave of the COVID-19 virus?
Thank you for the question. You said absolutely prepared. So the answer is no. I don't think that anyone is absolutely prepared for the second wave, but I also think that we learned a lot, now in these few months. So I really think that it will not, I hope that it will not happen again as it happened in March. And, we know a lot more now about the COVID-19 than we used to know. Of course, we still don't know everything, and we are waiting for the vaccines and stuff, but I really do think that the first wave and the chaos in between is not going to happen again. But as far as the preparedness, it's, you never know. None of us expected this, and it's been probably really hard to cope. But now we had quite a few months, 6 months. Yeah, it's 6 months. So I really do think that we managed to create at least, special mechanisms and recovery funds. So at least from the economic side, I think it will be, easier, and that it's not going to be lockdowns, like 100% lockdowns as they were, and the crisis will not be even harder than it already is. So we are prepared, but not absolutely prepared, I would say.
Thank you. So next person in line is Pablo from EMPL.
All right. Well, first of all, thank you for this magnificent speech. You spoke about your paper in education. I think we are currently focusing a stage in which education in schools with the COVID crisis is turning on health safety. But I'm really worried about the contents of education, especially in the entrepreneurial sector, because I feel like schools are not preparing enough for young Europeans to become entrepreneurs, and some of them might feel as they are designed to make students become to a workplace and not to bring the business out themselves. So my question is, have you got any debates or have you spoken about the paper of entrepreneurship in the early stages of education? Thank you.
Thank you. I agree with you completely, but as far as the debate is concerned, or if we did already anything about that, I have to say no. At least, you know, in this last year, I don't know what was happening in the previous mandates, but we do talk a lot about the education. I think even more now, you know, as you said, with the health stuff and everything. So we are trying. I have a colleague. Her name is Monica Semedo, and she is working actually a lot on this issue and SMEs, and you know, the practices that have to be done in schools, so that, you know, the people younger generations can go directly to work and to have, you know, a lot more practical knowledge already in the school. So, but I know, I mean, we can only debate because the education field, you probably know, is part of the member states' solutions. So it's on the member states to do. Unfortunately, you know, I think actually that some of the politics could be done on the European level, but it's not on me. So what we can do is to, you know, to make sure that we at least debate about it. For now, we didn't. I mean, at least in these past few months, but I'm sure that we will, because as I said, at least in our group, we talk a lot about it. So, you know, when this will, I mean, now actually in the next months, when things will not be only about COVID-19, and when we, you know, see what's going to happen in schools and everything, I think that we can turn back to the other issues that are concerning us. I'm sure that we will speak about it also. Thank you.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. So we have one last question from Alex in AFET. Alex, you have the floor.
Hello. Brexit has proven that not everyone trusts in the EU, and I have the feeling that this is in part because most of us, as European citizens, don't really understand the structure and purpose. What do you think should be done to increase general understanding and trust of the European Union? And thank you for your time and your speech.
Okay. I think that the first thing that has to be done for gaining more trust in the institutions is that the politicians should stop behaving like everything is theirs, and should stop behaving like an elite, and stop living in a bubble, because they are. I mean, most of my colleagues, I say this every time, I say this also to them, you know. So I think that that's actually the first thing and the easiest thing, you know, because for the beginning, you don't have to, I mean, you have to work, of course, for the legislative things and everything, but nobody will listen to you. I mean, people, at least in Slovenia and probably everywhere else, the younger generations and the older ones, they don't care anymore. They think that they are forgotten and that nothing can be done, and the politics is doing their job for them and not for the people. So that's the main issue that has to be resolved. I don't know how to do that in short run, but in long run, I think that that's going to happen with the generation change. I mean, hopefully, because I see the difference between my younger colleagues and my older colleagues, and the younger generations, we are really behaving differently and acting differently. So I think that it will that's our chance, actually, you know, to gain trust. So that's the first thing that has to be done. So I really do hope that, I mean, I am trying my best, but I'm just one of the 705. So I hope that we have actually a special group. It's called Young Europeans in the Parliament, and we are really talking about that. And we try to make changes with the Strasbourg sessions so that the Parliament there will not be used only for the 4 days in the plenary session, and the rest of the days in the month is not being used. So we try to change that. We try to change the calendar so that we can be in Brussels from Monday to Friday. And not only 3 days, so that we can have maybe more days in between, you know, 1 week more for working in the home country, and, you know, for the people to see that we are here and we are working for them. Because a lot of them, when I meet someone like on the street, they're saying, you don't do anything, you just get paid and that's it. But that's not true. So our job is to show them that it's not true, but you cannot show them that if you're acting like you're something more than them, because I'm not more than you or more than anyone else. I'm just a normal person that's working in the parliament, but I'm not there because of myself. I'm there because of my voters and the rest of the citizens. So, you know, that's the main thing to do.
Thank you very much. So we do have one last question from Raquel from ITRE. Raquel, you have the floor.
Hi, thank you for your speech. During the speech, you said that to deal with fake news and all that stuff, the parliament would try to educate its citizens in COVID even more. But how are you going to do that with the new generation? Like, have you thought about it yet? Thank you.
Well, I think that the best thing for that is to, as I mentioned, is to cooperate with the social networks or the platforms. Probably that's the best way to educate the younger generations. I mean, I know Facebook and Instagram and maybe Twitter a little bit, but now there's TikTok and I don't know, everything else that I'm not even aware of. I'm young, but not as young anymore, so I don't use that. But I mean, it's going to be probably necessary to, you know, to cooperate so with them, so the parliament or the members in the subcommittee, the special subcommittee, as I said, are probably going to have to be, you know, cooperating with them so that they can hear from them, and, you know, so that they can directly inform and educate the younger generations. So that's going to be a must, probably.
Our half-an-hour mark is coming to an end. And it's time to finally thank Ms. Irena for joining us today, and to us having the opportunity to learn from you. And let's offer a round of virtual applause to her.
Oh, thank you. I didn't know that the virtual applause is here. See, I learn every day. I learn new stuff from this Zoom and everything else. Thank you. I really hope that it was that at least you found out something new, or if not, then at least you could see that I'm a normal person. So I hope that you will have a great time, and I really do wish you good luck with the Youth Parliament, and of course in the future. And if you need anything else from me, I and my team will be really glad to help. So please do not hesitate to contact us via email or whatever. My email is public, so I mean, you can really contact me whenever you want, and if you need anything. So I wish you good luck, and thank you again for having me.
Thank you very much, Ms. JOVEVA. It has been a pleasure contacting with you. You have always been there, very nice, always from the first moment. And for the delegates, I would like to say that thank you very much for your questions. I hope that you can profit from these and use them in committee work. And well, that's the next thing on the program. So thank you very much, everyone, and see you soon.